Good evening and welcome to episode 180 of the Edufuturists podcast with me, Ben Whittaker, and...
Hi, I'm Dan Fitzpatrick. Nice to be with you all again. We've got a really interesting episode coming up, haven't we? We've just been chatting before we went live to our guests, are you going to want to stick around?
You are, and if you are only listening to this, can we just give you a bit of advance warning that probably you'll also want to watch this if you haven't. If you'll understand soon when the guests come on, you'll want to watch this on YouTube. So if you aren't subscribing on YouTube, this is a great plug for that. Edufuturists on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, get involved. Give us some comments and feedback as well on what you've seen today and any of the other episodes that are on there. We've got loads and loads of back catalogue, not just of podcasts, but some of our training series and work with some wonderful companies like Google for education, C-Learning, BenQ, TextHelp, loads of other great stuff on there for you to check out.
Talking of partnerships and we've got and coming up on the June the 30th, we've got our awards, the fourth annual Edufuturists Awards, celebrating those making the future of education happen all around the world. We're in the fourth one now, and every year we seem to get more and more international. We got some amazing awards to give out this year, sponsored by some amazing companies. So check that out. Get over to edufuturists.com to find out. We've just opened a few days ago the voting round. So we had the nominations round. Those were collected in. They were shortlisted, and now the voting form is up for you to vote. And we've got some amazing categories there. Some fantastic, innovative people who are really driving the future of education are on there. So get on there, vote for them, and then join us on the 30th of June. At 12:30, I think we're kicking off. 12:30 in the afternoon. That's UK time, yeah. And it'll probably be about 3 hours long. But we have got we've got an amazing speaker who's joining us, and we can't say yet
because Dan's got a really cool video to launch it. That's why.
Yeah, we do. We're going to put it out soon. We were going to launch it the other day, but we've had to put it on hold because we need to add. We've got a sponsor for the announcement, so that we need to put their branding on it and get all that done and get it out. The amazing C-Learning who are going to be supporting us with that one. But you're going to want to stick around for it. It's somebody who's if you're working in kind of innovative education and are interested in self-learning of students and project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, all that type of thing. This guy's a pioneer in that field, and you will certainly, if you haven't heard of him, you'll have heard of some of his projects, guaranteed. Look out. Follow us on Twitter, where the announcement will probably go out first. So it's twitter.com/edufuturists.
Absolutely. So we usually do a bit of an intro of where we are and what we've been up to, but I think we've done loads of cool intros there. So and we've got guests waiting in the background.
I'm just being boring. I did literally a full day of first aid today, so I don't want to talk about it. It was actually
you just have done.
Yeah. I was just Oh man, I was just thinking the guy who ran the day. If he's listening, I'm really, really sorry. It wasn't boring. It just wasn't. It doesn't fit into the brief of the future of education, but it was cool actually. I did some CPR on some dolls. It was a great day.
Won't be the first or last time, Dan. We'll leave it there. Let's get into. We've got guests waiting in the background. I've had a rubbish day. I've been doing interviews, so that's been a hard graft, but good fun. So today's episode, number 180, episode 180. We've got three guests today. Now, we've not just got three guests, we've got three different people and one person who's coming on camera like normal. So like I said, if you're only listening now, this is a good opportunity to go and have a look on YouTube as well, so you can see it. So we've got one person coming on as a camera person, and then we've got two other people coming on joining us in a very special place. So I'm going to let's get them in and let's let them explain what's going on. So
great explanation. Here's Melissa, a camera person.
Melissa's a camera person. She's a real person.
I know. I mean, that just lets the team down, I reckon. I'm the camera person. So nice to be here, guys.
Melissa's appeared with her real face, which is a nice start.
What is real, Dan? What is real? So we've got Melissa, and we've got Artific, and we've got Ultralord. So Melissa, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll let Ultralord and Artific explain themselves too as well.
Yeah, amazing. So Melissa, I am the CEO and Chief Education Officer of a company called Sophia Tech, but actually I'm a teacher, really, first and foremost. So I've been in the Blackboard jungle, I've been with everybody. I've been a school leader. But most recently, my adventure has taken me down through the exploration of online education, which is really exciting, through a British online school that we run. And more interestingly enough is through the work that we're doing inside the metaverse, where my two partners come into play here to introduce themselves.
Yeah, let's go. Should we go with Artific? Let's get you on first.
Yeah, sure. So, hello everybody. My real name is Artific.
Is it your real name though?
Yeah, it is my real name, but I have another real name that's called Yaroslav Holý. Yeah, I'm a real person, and this is also real. We are here in the metaverse in Somnium Space, and we will show you some pretty cool stuff. And it might be hard for you to believe it, but when you are here, you understand that it's real. And I'm founder of Oasis Metagames, which is a company that's building here in the metaverse solution for other people to be able to build easier worlds, game experiences, or virtual classrooms like Sophia is doing with her project. So the opportunities are endless, and that's what we are able to show you.
Brilliant. And Ultralord, definitely your real name.
Greetings, pioneers. It is true indeed. I am the Ultralord. My birth name is Rami, and I am a founding partner of Oasis Metagames. We create video games and experiences and tools for creators from across the world to develop within the premier metaverse Somnium Space. We're also working with Athenaverse. Yeah, Athenaverse, to create education and great stuff. It's really exciting. It's a pleasure to meet everyone and see you all on the other side of the monitor.
That's cool. It's great. You know what? Just basic questions we're going to get down here. But when you're moving your arms, are you moving your arms in real life? Is that how that's working?
Yeah.
I know that's basic VR technology, but yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool. And so yeah, all right. No, it's just fascinating because I think a lot of our viewers, a lot of our listeners will probably not have done all that much with VR neither. So I think even just explaining how that links with the metaverse and how that is it links in with that, it would be great. And I guess my first question is: you look a bit like Iron Man to me. Is that right? Is that who you've based yourself on?
Really? That's nice. I love Iron Man. So that's perfect. Yeah, actually, this model I bought it from one marketplace. I don't remember which one right now. But yeah, I bought it. It's like $20, I think. I made a few modifications. I uploaded here into Somnium, and it fits me perfectly. So that's good, and I feel really good in it. I have more of these, so I can actually show you.
That's cool. Yeah, it'd be good to get into like ownership within the metaverse as well, and that whole kind of element of Web3. I know we're here mainly to talk about education, but I think that kind of the functionality of Web3 and how it works would be great to get into. I honestly have about 1 million questions. I don't know where to start. Ben, do you want to?
So I'll tell you where I think we'll start. Let's start with you, Melissa,
Sure.
and let's start with the whole concept here, because obviously we're talking about the future of education, and I think we go into straight away from the beginning. Where did this start from? Because let's talk about Sophia, because that was you're a teacher from background, like the whole concept from there, and then let's build that into the metaverse and the conversation about what that means for the future of education.
Yeah, so I've always been a bit of a pioneer. I've always been a teacher and a head teacher and a founding head teacher who wanted to push the boundaries. Back in 2012, boundary pushing was outdoor learning in forest school. It's part of almost every school culture now. So when we look at what we've all experienced during COVID, obviously with pandemic remote learning, but we also explore some of the challenges that exist in education. So curriculums that are out of date, a changing workforce. There's predictions between a future in the metaverse or cyber focused future that's worth 8 to 13 trillion, somewhere in there. We've got to understand who the learners are of today, who are spatially native, Roblox, Minecraft generation, who are going to need a totally different skill set when they leave education and step into their life and work beyond. So for us, it really began during COVID. I was a parent of 4, so I had various pandemic remote learning experiences. And we started to think that what was missing was an online model of education that was designed from the ground up for what exceptional practice online looks like. So whether you're thinking about who you appoint, which curriculum you're delivering, the tools that you're using, how do you create personalization engagement? And that's really where the Sophia High story came. We've got 28 kids around the world, but one thing I'm very aware of is although we can connect on screens, and we do all the time, the kids travel the globe in a single day, they don't leave where they are. It's very difficult to create shared social experiences. So the things we remember trips, field trips that we all went on with our friends. I'm sure we all have probably a fond memory. We remember performances. We remember those amazing science experience, that real experiential learning. And in a fully online school, that's very difficult to replicate. We can do lots of things. My teachers are amazing, but it's difficult to have practical science experience where it is a shared setting. And enter in what's possible, not just in VR, because that's one part of the metaverse, but this metaverse that is emerging and the metaverse that we are building together. And you really can create contexts for learning that are out of this world. We'll show you a few things as the team kind of explore, but it creates what I like to refer to as the holy grail of learning, where kids learn, they feel like they're playing, and it just creates real sense of magic. And of course, you can do it again and again and again. So we can talk about school budgets and spend and things like that are all part of the crisis that we've got currently that need to be solved for the future. The metaverse can actually really help to solve that. So that's kind of been the evolution for me. And we couldn't do this alone. It takes an ecosystem to build something that doesn't exist. So connecting with amazing people like Artific and like Ultra, who are working on this project, is so incredible.
Yeah. Okay. So we have interviewed Sam Gichuru from Kidato in Kenya, who started in Kenya. We've interviewed and we're privileged to have a conversation with Josh Darn from Synthesis School, and they're trying to do something online to give young people an opportunity to learn in a different way. So you're saying you've got 28 children, young people from
28 countries. Oh no,
28 countries.
We represent. So we have children learning with us at the full-time online school in 28 different countries at the moment.
Okay, and so the principle behind that, just from a practical perspective, these children will be at home and they are learning online with peers from around the world. You put on live lessons, and I presume there's some asynchronous stuff as well that sits with that, and that is giving an alternative opportunity for education to explore things in a different way. Is that right?
Exactly. Our children get the same experience you would expect in a traditional bricks and mortar school. We just deliver it through an online medium, but it enables us to celebrate global citizenship in a unique way that I've never experienced as a head, even though I've been international before. But also for children to create connections, and also freedom and flexibility. They all follow the full UK national curriculum. They don't spend all day online. So it's a really wonderful way of reimagining. I hate to use that word, but it is like that. What is possible when you use incredible tools and have incredible partners to make this happen?
Yeah, and I guess the examples that Ben gave there of Synthesis, Kidato, and some of the stuff that you guys are doing, video call based, and a lot of schools will be familiar with the limitations of video calls, especially from lockdown, when a lot of schools did kind of transfer their lessons into video calls, and although it's in some elements worked really, really well, and some elements didn't, like you've mentioned, things like practical science lessons, things like that. I guess that's what people think of when they think of online education. The metaverse thrown in here is something that then takes us to a completely different dimension, doesn't it? Because I know we're looking at Ultraload there and Artific walking around their metaverse, but that we're experiencing them in a 2D reality on a screen here and witnessing what they're doing. They're actually in there experiencing that immersively, aren't they? Immersively within virtual reality. Could you just maybe go into a bit about why does that element need to be added, and what are the benefits it brings, and how, I suppose, as a third question, is how is this going to change? How is this going to change education? Is this going to be something in 5-10 years time that we're going to be quite familiar with in education?
Of course. Artific, maybe I've spoken. Artific, do you want to talk about why immersive, why VR, why persistence? That might be nice to hear from you, and I can come back to the education piece.
Yeah, sure thing. So right now we are actually in third layer of abstraction. Before we started, we talked a little bit about inception. So right now we are already a couple levels deep. So for people that are following the video, then we started in something that we call base reality. That's the base Somnium world. It's like 5,000 parcels. People can do different stuff. There are different games, experiences. It would take you probably like 20-30 minutes if you want to walk from one end to another. So it's a huge world. Then we entered that sphere, and we entered the lobby with like robots and space station and stuff like that. And then so that was the second layer of abstraction. And then we went into one of those later spheres in the lobby, and we end up here. And this is space. This is, I call it Pocket Universe. It's like a world that's developed by Sophia. And you can see, Athenaverse, Discovery Lab, and it's all work in progress, but it's pretty good work in progress. You already can see the working canvases where people can make art, very simple one at that, but you can play different games and so on. And you could, actually, I think like here it's important to distinguish what's the metaverse and what's the virtual world, because a lot of people exchange them. And of course, Sophia, they can build this as an app for Oculus, or they can make it as a game and accessible in different means. And it's possible. You can do it like in Unity, Unreal Engine. Just deploy it, and that's it. But it's not the metaverse. Metaverse is a much bigger idea, and it comes with a couple of important points that you need to first work out to really create this much bigger space, as people call like new internet. So that you can have sort of these intranets, as people before tried to make just something for their company. It's like secured, highly optimized, and so on. But it didn't really work out. Having much better internet that's opened and have a lot of issues, but also is able to solve a lot of problems for a lot of people, thanks to the openness. And it's sort of democratizing in a lot of ways, but it has its own issues. With the metaverse, it's similar. So the metaverse, you need to have a couple of elements, as I said. One of them is that we believe that it needs to be immersive. It needs to be VR, because it's very hard to really, even when you talk about teaching different classes, or basically to do anything. Because when we talk about the metaverse, we talk about being here, experience things like in the real life. We can experience other people, we can talk to them with the spatial audio. In the main world, we have weather, we have day and night cycle that we all share with each other. So if something happens, other people can see it. Other people can see the clouds that just come there, or the rain that's coming in, and we all share the same experience. So that's the persistence. And later, when people will make changes to this world, like for example, when I draw something on the canvas, other people can see it and they can participate in creation. And later they would be able to make persistent changes in the world that they visited, they played. So that's the persistence. And the VR aspect is very important. And the last thing that you need to have is the open economy, because if one company owns everything in the world, then they can very easily shut it down. They can censor it. They can decide, okay, we don't like this, we like this. We will not show these videos, but we will show these videos. We all know that these stuffs are already happening, and it's one of the downsides of the internet. And one of the things that came into being is the blockchain, which has a lot of problems as well, but has potential to solve this ownership issue, where the world in which I am currently, it's run by Somnium, but it's not owned by Somnium. I physically own it. I have a token that's saying, okay, this world is yours, and you can do within some reason. I can do like offensive stuff, of course, and break the law and so on. But within a reason, I can do whatever I want with that. And if Arthur, as the CEO of the company, gets angry at me, I'll say, okay, I don't like Artific. He's doing crazy stuff, and we should ban him. Then he can ban me from the platform, but he can never take the world from me. So this is again, like, not maybe super perfect solution. We're still figuring out how to do different legal aspects with it and so on, and it's super messy. But it's how things are when something new gets born. So yeah, I hope I didn't create too many new questions answering that one original. So yeah, that's how I see it.
And I think to bring it, why education? Learning makes a difference when children are immersed, when they can feel the learning happen, or they can experience it in a way that's not possible on a two-dimensional screen or a two-dimensional piece of paper, because then it becomes real and it has context. So when we talk about practical science, in so many schools around the world, it's no longer possible, either because of safety concerns or because of resourcing or the right teachers, and it's very difficult. Or it could be buildings, you need to have a lot of specialist space. So you can design these things, you can run them and teach them in a very, very safe way. And you can deploy it infinitely, which is really powerful. But you can also take children, regardless of where they are in the world, to a place they've never been before. So you can create context where you take children to Mars. You don't learn about it through a two-dimensional way. You can actually take them there so they can experience, what does Mars feel like? What does it look like? Similarly, you can do everything from sports in a shared social setting, where you're not only really bringing learning to life in new ways, not possible before, but also you're beginning to equip children with the skills they're going to need for a cyber-focused future. And I think those things run alongside of each other.
That's interesting. Yeah. So do you see kind of the metaverse being something where like businesses will function and a lot of social activity will function in the future? And I know that's kind of like the idea of the metaverse, I guess, and especially what a lot of business leaders are working on, people like Mark Zuckerberg, to make that a reality. I suppose there's still a lot of skepticism around it, isn't there? And even just looking at it, like when I look at Artific and Ultraload there, it looks very like a game, like that game I would play in, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of people who aren't into gaming and aren't into that type of thing might think, oh well, it's not really for me because of the kind of aesthetics of it. Do you see that changing? Do you see that? And I know Mark Zuckerberg does talk about kind of he thinks we're not that far off from actually being able to use real life avatars for instead of like a game avatar, but more a photorealistic avatar.
I mean, at the moment, Artific and Ultralord, you're able to represent yourself through whichever avatar, whether it looks something futuristic or, we all have human looking avatars as well, most of us. But that ability to express yourself, is quite important. And what I have seen from delivering lessons in VR is children are very comfortable in their avatar because it's usually something that they've designed themselves. It's how they want to approach the external world or the virtual world that they operate in. And in many cases, they're therefore more willing, because they have the protection of an avatar, here we go, to step outside of their normal comfort zones. And that's a really amazing thing that is emerging. And there's much needed research from institutes, in order to explore that further. But in terms of the game-based, it is a game. These metaverses are a game, but the ability to learn through a space in an environment that's just not possible. So we have gone, I think, out to some ancient temples, and you can imagine education you want to take or teach your children about ancient Egypt or Greece. How do you do that? You can replicate a version of it, but you can't take them there. Here, it's completely possible, and you can immerse yourself in the feeling. The point that you both raised is really important. When you watch it 2D, we don't feel what you feel when you're inside of there, surrounded by the virtual experience. So that's what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and also what you're hearing, it was a pretty phenomenal sensory experience.
I think that really leads nicely into an idea around one of the conversations, and I think we've all kind of considered this when we've talked about VR. And I suppose there's two things in this. The first one is around the idea of there being a limitation in terms of technology, so like a technology availability, because you've got a VR headset here, and so the movement towards perhaps a more or less obtrusive, so you're not going to have a big headset. Is it going to be the movement towards like glasses that you can see almost that augmented reality and the elements that sit with that, but then also the conversation around like haptics and feeling, because you talked about what it feels like to be in there. Yeah. So obviously there's a sight thing and there's sounds and there's a whole kind of immersive there, but then the step towards haptics and feeling it, because obviously we're now, as you can see on the screen now, we're in some kind of sports arena. It's that the engagement there, so there's a physical activity, but in order to be able to fully experience that, is there going to be movement towards haptics, I suppose, is the question. I don't know if either Ultra or Artific want to maybe come into that.
Yeah, sure. Ultra, I think you can take it from there. It's your arena.
Yeah, sure. The key to creating greater engagement and why it's important, especially in VR, is it creates greater immersion for the user. And by creating greater immersion, you're therefore able to have a positive impact on people. Like being able to play sports teach kids so much stuff. It's so important. Being able to play it with people from across the world is huge, because I mean, it's a game, and like human beings, we've been playing games since the beginning of time. And we were talking about haptics, right? So like haptics in sport. Yeah, haptics in sport is it's really great because you can use it to do greater things. You can use technology to better yourself. And that's what we do. That's what we humans do. And so like, imagine if you had, like, for example, a Tesla suit, being able to play here, feel certain things, that will allow you to play better, and you can train easier. And it has huge implications for how sports will be done in the future. Like, imagine people training in VR to get ready for a game, or even specific games that happen only in VR, certain leagues from across the world meeting specifically in VR. These are things that are happening right now.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, the Tesla suit one is an interesting story, but I mean, if we're honest, not the affordability factor for a lot of this tech for education is, of course, a barrier. So what a lot of platforms, not just Somnium, but of course it is they also have 2D versions and web versions. So for a generation of students who are very spatial because they're the Roblox Minecraft, it is an entryway into at least giving them an experience, if not fully VR yet. But over time, you know, I think these, like every other piece of technology, the barrier to entry will continue to come down as the technology gets better, as the technology is more affordable. And I think, you know, specifically for schools, when you think about the cost of what a school build for specialist labs cost you, it's actually much more financial savvy to start to look at how you can deploy headsets with your class to give them the experience. And that's not just primary, secondary. You know, we're talking about nursing schools and colleges around the world that are beginning to deploy VR in terms of training, both in terms of, you know, medical, physical operations, but equally how to deal with mental health, you know, because you can replicate the feeling and the emotion, but you don't ever get it wrong. So the technology is a barrier in terms of cost, but it is improving and it is getting better. And I think in education, when we start to see a shift to what traditional spends have been on, schools will start to look at new ways of actually teaching and learning and employing teachers. And also, you know, the whole idea of this is you can be anywhere. So when we talk about schools and admissions, you know, you can widen your circle of intake so that your students may not be in your geographical location. And like, as I said, like every tech, things start to get cheaper as the technology improves. And I think where we're heading, being a non-technologist, is that we'll start to see one or fewer technologies emerging that allow us to do more things. So rather than have computers and phones and all of these, we'll start to see them emerging into one. But it, you know, as I say, there's so much that's already possible and so much that's already being developed. And again, I think what inspires us at Sophia is this idea about we have the potential to create a better, more equitable and sustainable model of education, because, you know, anyone can join from anywhere and have an exceptional experience, and also fit learner profiles because they can do that experience again and again and again until they've got it.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you struggling to manage your school's Chromebooks and looking for a solution?
Check out the Vault episode with the team from Visor for features and why it can make a difference to managing your devices.
Visor integrates with the Google Admin Console to keep track of your Chromebook inventory and repairs. For an exclusive Edufuturists offer for 20% off for your first year, go to visor.cloud/edu. That's VIZOR.cloud/edu.
It would be great, Melissa, it would be great to get into the security side of things and the safeguarding, because I know, in fact, I think it was just over here in the UK that was on British television a few mornings ago, where they were talking about kind of some of the things that children were coming across in and some of the things they were seeing, and I guess it's like anything, isn't it? When a new technology comes along, the technology always comes, and then we have to figure out how to make it safe, and we're still having those conversations about web 2 as well, and we're still not kind of there with that. So it's a concern for people, and I know a lot of people when they see stuff like where Ultralord is right now, they think, well, can somebody else come in? Like, can somebody else from some random place around the world put a headset on and come into that area? And I know you were talking about how, a bit like the movie Inception, like this world is within a metaverse, and then within another layer of that. I suppose my question really is, would the students have to go through layer 1 to get to layer 2 and so on? And is the first layer a public layer where they could be unsafe, if that makes sense?
No, I think these are really great questions. I think the first thing to talk about is we often deploy technology as teachers, as educators, as parents, without actually stopping to think about, are our young people ready to use that technology? when we think about other things that, we expose children to, so, using utensils, using tools, there's a process by which we ready young people or our children for the next step. But for technology, the history has been, we haven't done that. We've equipped them with the tool without actually stopping to make sure that they understand how to learn it effectively. They understand what some of the dangers they may encounter are, and also what to do when those things happen. So I think that is pervasive, and we often forget. So when we talk about what's happening with the metaverse, and yesterday the World Economic Forum was really focusing in on some core features, and one of them is going to be safety and security. I am not surprised that the media is picking up on issues where children are using devices and using other platforms which are open, and actually they're being encountered by the wrong types of people and having the wrong types of experiences. What we're building is building something that children cannot natively just access right now. There's a number of reasons for it. It's tech, it's under construction, but the big thing for education is putting the right layers of safeguarding around it. So when children are in the learning space, do the children and the adults have the right to be there? And through token gated entry, passes, you can absolutely enable that within the school setting, or within the education setting. At the moment, why I don't have children in this particular space, although the children at our school do learn in VR, is because that is still an emerging technology, one of which the Artific is working on at the moment, so that when children show up, they show up in the right place and that the right people are there. Those are some really crucial factors. Safeguarding matters in traditional buildings. Safeguarding must matter online, and that's whether it's an online school, which the UK government aren't quite there yet, but it's coming. But specifically here, we need to safeguard children wherever we're asking them to engage and learn. And that's a very, very key factor for some of the work that we're doing, and specifically with Artific in terms of how we create that safe space.
And I think that's really important. And for those who are viewing, you'll see that obviously in the VR space, just like students are gaming, there will be opportunity, and there will be, like, in terms of the immersion, like into like even things like Minecraft and what's the other one that you were talking about, Dan, earlier, that your little brother plays in? We're talking about Roblox, but we're also talking about what is it called? Call of Duty and stuff. Yeah, we're talking about that idea. And I know it's not quite the same in terms of VR, but there's that opportunity to be in conflict and all the other things that sit with that. But what we've said is has been important, and one of the things that I've said quite a lot is, just in the same way that banning mobile phones is probably not a good learning experience, and actually what we need to do is teach young people how to use them and be good digital citizens and to be responsible and to learn how to do it effectively rather than banning it, because what that does is then puts it into a space where they're doing it anyway, but it's not in the open, so it's hidden. So it almost like gives it that kind of that sinister edge and whatever else. What this is allowing us to do is a learning experience that happens within it, that we can guide young people through, and that safeguarding element that you're talking about there is great. So there's immersive opportunities here, but it's also there's the learning opportunity from an ethical standpoint, from an experiential standpoint that they can get differently.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things that's inbuilt into the Somnium space is karma points. Somnium have a very distinctive view about the positive impact this can have on the human experience. And obviously, being an active but global contributor to that is really, really important. They want community players who are making a positive impact in the space. And it's the same thing that we expect of students in schools. So all of that has the ability to be replicated here. But again, using it as a learning experience. If we know that life and work by 2030 heavily will be focused in these spaces, as educators, we have got a duty of care to get young people ready for how to behave and operate there, and also how to be part of the emerging creator community that is these metaverses.
Yeah, I would agree.
I almost see like a bit of a hybrid emerging in terms of like our for a group of colleges, we've got 7 campuses, and almost like I don't see the face-to-face being replaced, but almost like one of those campuses being a center where the students can go and plug into the metaverse and then take classes from around the world with students around the world. And I recently partnered with a VR center in the northeast of England, and they've got those, I forget what they're called, but they look a bit like a round treadmill. So you stand on it for the VR, and when you run, it kind of it moves under you. So you running in the VR platform is you actually running in real life. I almost say like that could be that same equipment be in the campus, and so that students can go on and take part in those lessons that are in the metaverse. And there's some cool stuff. They had that one, one of those ones. It's like a frame where you lie on it and you can fly within VR as well. And just I think that the kind of tools that are coming with VR married with the metaverse and how that is going to impact learning, I think is massive. It's absolutely massive. And like you said,
absolutely.
Go for it, Artific.
Yeah. So a lot of people are looking at like those new things. So it's either or. That's never like that. It can be this and this. And how I look at the metaverse is, I like superheroes. So, for example, Doctor Strange. You have like these other dimensions. You have like the mirror dimension where you can play, and it doesn't impact what happens in the real life, but sometimes it does. So this is the same. Like we as humankind discovered new dimensions to the 3D space. We can be here. Currently, we are talking about like real life and VR. There's also AR that would be like in the middle of it. But then all of these things in the future, they will meld together. And you will currently the glasses, they are quite big, and you can run into things, and there are issues. But we are like in the beginning of the thing. So later you will just take something like sunglasses or even something smaller. It will be fashionable, and you will be able to see things in the metaverse as you are in the real life. And it will be just this like another dimension that you can project onto the real life. So it's not like we need to sacrifice everything that we have in the real life. We will do just the education in the metaverse, or we will just do the education in the real life. No, it's one space. It's not. It's just like extension of the reality.
Yeah, I think that's I love that, and I love that you went there in terms of that phrase extended reality. And I know, Melissa, that you shared something on LinkedIn recently about the predictions, the KPMG predictions conversations about 2030 and what that's going to look like. And we'll use that in the show notes as well today, and link to that in the show notes. But I'm really interested you mentioned there about the physical VR glasses or whatever else being changed, and whether it'll even be thinner, wafer thin type glass, whether it could be contact lenses that you could wear on top of it and have this level of extended reality. So it's not just that phrase of it's either or. I really liked that Artific, that phrase. But you also, there's also a prediction from this article, and Ultralords is Barney right now. Dan, can we bring Barney on? I don't know if there's a copyright element here, but it's not quite Barney. So that's it. But it's that idea that there's almost a movement towards this idea that we won't need to use the physical keyboards and mice and monitors, that actually there's going to be a cost saving there because we're going to be moving into these more wearable technologies. But what I was very interested by was the idea of how it ties to robotics and the synthetic data that will require, and how it ties into the idea about robotics and what that then might mean in terms of how we structure education. Because one of the things that everybody's panicked about and worried about is that robots are going to take over human work, and what we're going to do for humans then, because a lot of the traditional things that have been done by humans can be replaced by robots. But what does this mean, and how does that tie in from an XR point of view?
Education. I think two things I would mention. One, like it's this and this, it's not either or. And I think that's the really great message for education. I don't believe you would want to learn fully in the metaverse because there's so much richness that comes from learning in the real world. So my view of where it's going is just like the best iPads or BYOD programs deployed is you use it where it enhances learning and you put it away when it doesn't. You can imagine learning about ancient Egyptians, Queen Nefertiti's tomb, rather than watch a video of it or do some research, you actually go there and you explore the hieroglyphics and you go and explore the tomb and come back out 20 minutes later. So it's the wow moments. I think that's how I see the two working together in a very hybrid way. To the point about will robots replace? The whole part of what's possible in here is how you can connect on a human level with other players to learn together, to experience together. And actually what we haven't talked about is coming together to create together. That is a really important part. And not just because these people are within your own communities, but because, you're able to connect on a global scale. When we talk about education, we know that there's huge inequities. It's no surprise it's a sustainable development goal. And I do believe as the tech deployment gets better and less expensive and school boards and schools and governments start thinking differently, it will begin to open up more opportunities for those who haven't had it before. So yes, we have an ability of AI and robotics enhancing the learning process and perhaps using data science to tell us what those next steps might be and what that person may need to do next in terms of their challenges. But I don't see it fully replacing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, what you said there about the experience impacting the learning, we had one of our campuses at the moment that we're going to start rolling this out across our other campuses, where we're kind of pioneers really in the UK for 360 immersive spaces. So we've just spent a lot of money on a fully we've installed a room into one of our spaces where it's a fully round 360 degree immersive classroom really, and it projects onto the round 360 wall but also onto the floor to give that fully or near full immersive experience. And we're starting to see the impact that that's having on learning is huge. We had some GCSE English a teacher who's teaching her students about the Great Gatsby, and they created in that space with the help of some of our great technicians a 1920s socialite party akin to something from the Great Gatsby, and they put the students in there. I think they dressed up as well, and they were able to be immersed in that area, and the grade increase that they saw on their GCSE. If I'm aware not everyone will be familiar with the new GCSE scoring, but those students were averaging about a level 2. And this is resits as well, so it's college level, so it's resits. And they did a bit of written work when they came out of that immersive room on the Great Gatsby, and the whole class were then averaging a level 7, which if you know about the grade boundaries at GCSE English, that is a huge increase, a massive, massive increase just from the immersive experience. And I think when you were talking before about kind of it's not either or, it's the how do these technologies come together. I almost see that those spaces as well. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be with wearing glasses. Do we get to a point where the room you're in is an immersive room, and the walls around you can experience the metaverse? And I know a company, shout out to a company called Generate Immersive who are not far away from Ben, and they're experimenting with those types of rooms with something called LiDAR technology, where LiDAR is essentially using light. It can pick up shapes and objects within the room. So yeah, I see a point where you could literally be within the metaverse or be within a virtual reality environment like the metaverse, and not necessarily have to wear anything, not necessarily have to have that, but be present in it. I think it's quite exciting where that could go.
Yeah, and Dan, to your point, you work in a school that had a vision and created this immersive space. One of the challenges that we have is it's great for the kids, and it made a huge impact on the kids that were able to access it. When you talk about what's being created here, you start to move towards what's really difficult in education, which is open shared resources. So you can come together as a group and create an immersive experience in the metaverse and deploy that to any school anywhere around the world that wants to benefit from that. Once it's created, it is live. Yes, they need to be able to access it, but you're not asking them to then rebuild that whole space, in the real kind of physical sense. And I think that's very exciting when you start to talk about how we can make education more open because of resources, open because of experience, open because of teachers. We know we've got a teacher crisis.
On a practical level, how could that work in the metaverse? So I'm just thinking, you create a campus within the metaverse, for example, and the students can go in and experience it. And you have one of the rooms is the inside of a pyramid. Like you say, how would that work for, let's say, I don't know, let's say, and I'm probably thinking with the old geographical mindset here, but another school 100 miles away wants a similar experience. Would you duplicate that almost metaverse campus template, or would they just join the same space? How do you envisage that working?
It depends on how the technology is scripted. You can create digital twins, for specific schools, or one that will suit many schools. Actually, these already exist. And it's really up to the users as to whether they wish to have it persistent. So those users can, exchange teachers and exchange, or is it just the exchange of the environment itself? Or schools can choose to have standalone, but it's very easy to replicate. The majority of these spaces are built on 2 free engines, either Unreal Engine or Unity, both of which, are free, and then uploaded. So I think there's a great opportunity there that can be explored. And again, it doesn't need to be this or that, it is very easy to share once you have, it's infinite, once you have one, share it. It becomes...
And could it be an artificial intelligence bot within that space? So you go in and there is King Tutankhamun stood there, and you can ask him questions about the space, about his life, and it's an AI bot that's delivering the content.
I think that's really relevant because Artific is playing chess, but in this OMG engine, if Artific can hear me, there are AI bots inside of here he can go talk to.
That's cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, currently it's just simple idea. This is like text to speech. You click it. Currently, you will not be able to hear the voice, but the AI has her name, and she will answer you the question here. Later, we are of course thinking about putting some AI algorithms there, so some sort of chatbots, and we will be able to do it directly here. We are working on partnership with one owner of media news. Somnium Times. They create articles about Somnium and so on, and we have API, and we will be pulling articles directly here into this lobby, and we will create a text-to-speech algorithm that will be able to read you those articles. So you will be here, and you will be able to get articles read by your favorite AI, for example.
And this is where this gets exciting. It's not that it's only just getting exciting, but this takes it to a whole new level of excitement for me, because we're talking about layer upon layer upon layer of experience here, and it's not just a conversation around a game. It is a game, and it makes it fun. So straight away, there's a level, there's an ease into engagement. Then there's the opportunity for learning in different worlds and learning about different worlds. That's another layer that sits with there. But if then you can tie AI into that, and you can tie haptics into that, and you can tie some of the broader reflective elements from the immersive world, I think this could be a game changer. And I think one of the things that you said recently, Melissa, and I really liked it, is that you said that virtual reality worlds are a great way to stimulate creativity, collaboration, and communication. We bang on this podcast an awful lot about the 4 C's that everybody jumps into. And I know you mentioned creativity, collaboration, and communication, which I'll come to from you in a moment. But I also think there's a really great opportunity for critical thinking as well, in a sense that you are helping young people to make good decisions about things that matter, helping them to shape their way to how they engage with what does it mean to engage with somebody who you can't see but he's still there. So then the conversations around being keyboard warriors, or would you say this in real life, and then develop those levels of communication skills as well to sit into it. So yeah, I know I've rambled on a little bit for a minute or so, but I wonder if that ties into what you're talking about as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the whole part of this is about a human experience, right? That's why we have the ability to create a virtual world, to do things that are difficult or not possible. I don't believe, as an educator, replicating a physical class setting. I don't know why you would want to go and sit kids down. It's not what the point is. The point of them is to explore, to experiment in a safe way, to inspire creativity. What you see here are some interactive whiteboards that our team have deployed, which is the first. Both Artific and Ultra could do that at the same time, so we're looking at some of not just science, which you can understand why practical science experiments to recreate them in the metaverse are great, but equally art. We see drawing happening. I'm amazed by what people can draw. Are these the emergence of the real NFTs, things that are actually created in the metaverse? I would argue, yes, more than an algorithm that just spits them out. But it's not just art. It could be sculpting, it could be music. There's some amazing people deploying amazing musical focused technologies into the metaverse space where people can create. And when you teach young people how to create, they immediately become part of the creators economy that's emerging. They don't have to wait until they're a certain age to be a part of it. They don't have to wait to reach a certain level of degree before they can try out making their own tools. As a matter of fact, a lot of the Somnium stuff, it doesn't require a lot of coding at all. It uses something called Bolt and Free Unity to script. So you don't have to have all of that background to be part of it, but you can absolutely be inspired by what is possible, and do it with some great people. The thing I love the most are the amazing people that I meet, the amazing creators that we come across who are really looking at their passion, whether it's sport, or the Somnium Times, like a news agency, or even like mindfulness. Some amazing mindfulness opportunities rolling out in here, which are phenomenal, and you become immersed in it. So it's multifaceted, but those 4 C's are so important, and it's a skill that really matters. And I think, to the other point, the OECD just released their research about skills for 2030. It's not subject-based. They're not things like, oh, you need to know STEM, or you need to have this. It's actually personal skills, where you understand how to be a divergent thinker, where you understand how to collaborate, how to work. And this allows that to start to happen. And I think the quicker we can start to explore this with children, they love being in it. The kids are just like, yes, I love this game. It's what they think. And as a teacher, when you experience that, you think, this is brilliant, because they don't know they're learning, and that's really where the magic is, I think.
Yeah, I love. For those who listen to this podcast, will know I love the idea of an authentic audience, and giving our students an authentic audience so their work isn't just going in a book on a shelf and then chucked out at the end of the year. And I think that what you said there about them being able to create within the metaverse, and then bringing in the dimension of the fact that there could be NFTs and students can have ownership of whatever they create and be able to trade, sell that within the metaverse. Or just I mean, there's real potential for pulling students out of poverty with that type of type of functionality. So it's exciting. It really is. I think there are. I feel like we've just kind of jumped from one thing to another really, really fast, and we probably could have done an episode on so many different elements of that. We'll definitely have to get you guys back on, because this is, when we talk about the future of education, being Edufuturists, this is it, really. This is it, and we want to explore this more. So, thanks, Artific, thanks, Ultra Lord.
For sure.
To your point, what's really gonna matter is that amazing people like you, amazing educators, come together to create this ecosystem so that actually we get this right. We get this right for young people, because it's going to be so important, and it can't happen without a whole ecosystem of people working together and designing what we know is possible. But obviously we need to have great minds that make it happen.
Yeah, and we need pioneers, and the stuff that you're doing as well. We need people to showcase it so that other people start to think, actually, we need our students are going to miss out if they're not learning on that level. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and for setting up the views within the metaverse there to demonstrate to us. If you have been listening on a podcast, which I know the majority of our listeners do head over to the YouTube channel and check it out, or if on Spotify, you can watch the video on Spotify as well, and just have a look at the amazing creations there and the future of education right before your eyes, I think. Yep. Don't forget the Edufuturist Awards, 30th of June. Tune in, register, vote, go to edufuturists.com, and it's all there for you to have a look at. Melissa, thanks so much again.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Ultra Lord, Artific, have a fantastic day. And,
for sure, bro. You too. Thanks.
It's nighttime now in the metaverse, you see. So
yeah, I love it. Love it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.